Today I am reviewing a return to one of my favorite subgenre of horror films, and that is Hillbilly Holocaust, which is kind of a throwback to 1980s, 1990s, and even early 2000s German splatter films. Now, I'm not super well versed in German splatter films, but I know they're fun. I know it's weird coming from me because the only SOV German splatter film that I've covered on this channel is Violent Shit, and I comfortably called it one of the worst movies ever made. But I assure you, I like the subgenre. Just not Violent Shit 1 because it's truly god-awful. However, this one is not, and it's quite the opposite of Violent Shit 1 in the sense that this is a good movie. Now, full disclosure, I was sent this by the director, Madman Marv himself, who I can confirm is indeed a madman. It didn't really change anything because I would have wanted to see this anyways, because this is the type of movies I want to see from the underground, more splatter fun, and less just people in gimp masks shitting on each other. That's a sentence I just said. So what is Hillbilly Holocaust about? Well, I'll just read you the synopsis from the back, because I kind of have a large German audience, which is weird. So, this is for my German subscribers. Unter der Unterelder werden limited Familie beöffnet sich onwaal ein Portal zur Hölle. But in all seriousness, this film has quite the simple plot, and it's reflected by the fact that it's very short, but it packs a lot of good things in the very short running time. So we're following a family of German hillbillies, which are either the most unconvincing or most convincing hillbillies I've ever seen on screen. They're all dressed up like cliches of what you would assume hillbillies to dress up like. You know, they have flannel shirts, they have overalls, one of them has super long hair, one of them has like gray hair, he's probably the father or the grandfather, and he likes to wear a bear or bear costume. I was thinking tiger for some reason, but that wouldn't make any sense. What kind of tiger just hangs out in the German forest? And then we have the daughter, who's a goth girl. I guess she was like, I'm not gonna follow in the steps of my families, at least in the way I dress, but I also just murder a bunch of random people to sacrifice them to the demons because there's a hole to hell in their basement. Yep. They're quite in a pickle, or as the German would say, they're quite in the sauerkraut. So, the plot of this film is that this hillbilly family, they're kind of heroes. They have to save Earth from the demons that live in their basement by sacrificing random hitchhikers. Violently murdering random innocent people so that they can keep the demons away from the planet Earth. And at first I would assume, since this is a throwback to German splatter, that they would mostly yield weapons, you know, like chainsaws, axes, machetes, but no, they're armed to the teeth. For some reason, they have shotguns, and one of them, the guy with long hair and glasses, even has a goddamn M16. So our backwood hillbillies go on a rampage, but in between that we meet another character of the film, and that is our main character, I guess. There's two plot lines. There's the hillbilly family murdering a bunch of innocent people, and then there's this random asshole looking for his brother who disappeared. Spoiler alert. The hillbillies got to him, and he shows up to the ranger cabin, and we meet the two laziest, dumbest forest rangers ever, and there's a lot of references to other things in this film. They're not like Scream, it's not like super in your face, but they're just like, you know, in the background. Like during the first scene where the hillbillies discuss they're drinking Viper liquor from street trash. The forest rangers are reading Creepshow comic books, and for some reason one of the missing posters is Walter White from horror franchise Breaking Bad. So anyway, they're the two worst rangers. They're just sitting in their cabin drinking beers. just drinking on the job like typical German people. And the guy just walks in and he's like, yo, my brother disappeared. And they're like, oh, do we really have to work? Jesus Christ. And then finally they get convinced and they go looking for the brother, who, as I already said, he's fucking dead. He got killed in a very spectacular manner, in fact. For the movie not to be, you know, too short, in between that, we literally get random ass people showing up in the forest, getting brutally murdered, and then moving on to the other. One of my favorite is just this guy who just comes into the forest, puts down a chair, and he's like, oh, this is the most beautiful thing, so relaxing. And you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're literally just looking at a tree in, like, a forest. Why? And then he gets M16. His fucking brains blow up. And this brings me to the highlight of the film, well, one of the highlight of the film, and that is the gore. Now, it's not like super high budget gore, it's pretty obvious that they're special effects, but they're just, you know, that typical splatter German kind of special effects where they might not be convincing, but they're so over the top that you can't stop yourself from just grinning. And nothing describes that better than the main character's brother, who just has his head on a spike. And like, it's clearly a fake head, but it just brings you joy because you can clearly see the fun that the people had making this movie, and the special effects are still super impressive. I mean, if I made a short and I could like get half like as good special effects, I'd be happy. So they're pretty impressive, but they're also really fun. So yeah, in between the main storylines, we just get the hillbillies killing a bunch of people. Then just a group of, I guess, guys, they just show up at like an abandoned cabin that just looks disgusting, and they just start drinking beer and talking shit, as again Germans tend to do. And they look more like hillbillies than our killer hillbillies, which I also found funny, and they get shot to death. They all get shot. One of my favorite scene is also when the laziest of the forest ranger gets blasted by the shotgun, and you can just see the dummy get it's chef's kiss. And eventually we get a conclusion. One of the hillbillies stays in the house, you know, controlling the demons that are coming out of the basement. That's a sentence I've said. And he kind of messes up. He goes down, shoots one, but then another one comes out with a goddamn sword, and he doesn't have any bullets left, and he gets killed. And that's where the ending, you know, starts to build up because, well, the demons are now loose. And that's when our main character and the ranger get to the hillbilly's cabin, and they discover the truth that, you know, they're in trouble because demons are now loose in this forest and they're gonna kill everybody. But our main character kind of saves the day. I don't know. They're supposed to make human sacrifice, but he burns down the house, which I don't know if that really works because it's a portal to hell. So would fire really stop a portal to hell? We might know in a sequel. I hope this gets a sequel because I really want more of this hillbilly Holocaust world. And honestly, I want to see more of Madman Marv's movies because this was so much goddamn fun. So, what did I think of Hillbilly Holocaust? Well, I've already said it. I adored this film. Maybe it wasn't my favorite of the German splatter kind of films, you know, I still have a little love for the older stuff, but this is a step into the right direction, especially for underground cinema coming out of Germany, because Germany is one of my favorite countries that produces films, as clearly obvious by my obsession with Jess Franco films, which most of them are produced by Germans, and I think I'm on my German, yeah, Mark of the Devil. I just love German movies, and then I have my German shot on video films. Like I said, it's one of my favorite countries that produces films, so anytime I get to see more underground, more splattery stuff from them, I'm happy. My only issue with this film is that it does a mistake that a lot of indie filmmakers do, and that is overuse drone shots. We get it. You can drive a drone. You don't need to start every scene with an establishing shot of the forest with a drone. God damn it. So that was really my main issue, which is not really a big issue. I mean, I have no issue with the acting. The acting is superb. It's very over the top, very kind of Troma-esque, but in a good way. Like, it's not bad acting. It's just the type of acting you expect from a film that's a throwback to German splatter films. You know, some of the actors are a bit dead inside. I think of the group of guys that scene really reminded me of Violent Shit, where they're just drinking, talking shit, and they have like no emotion. But you know, they're not important characters. All the important characters do a good job. The hillbillies are probably my favorite part of the film. Like, the hillbillies are there, and then the gore is there. Like, I love the characters of the hillbillies. I'm sad that, you know, most of them had to go. Which would make it hard for a sequel, but I really like them as characters. The gore is incredible. Like, it's not gonna win any award for cinematography, but at least it looks competent and the audio is good. Which, as someone who has a lot of issues with a lot of indie films having difficulties with audio, I appreciate that I can hear what's going on in the film. So I have really no real complaints about the film. I think this is a well-made, super fun, great time, and honestly, at 58 minutes, which that's including the credits, it's even earlier if you take out the credits, this is so short and so much like fun packed into the film. Can't wait to watch more of Madman Marv's other things that he's working on in the future, and I would highly recommend, if you are a fan especially of German splatter films, to give this one a watch, because this would have been something that would have come out in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and that I would have loved. So I think if you're into that type of cinema, you'll do too. So thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.